Welcome to the Nomad Newsroom Podcast, the podcast for nomads, hosted by a British duo with an average sense of humor. It's Julian, Nevin, and Joe Wood.
I love podcasts. Can we start the show now?
Hello, guys. All right, welcome to episode 8 of the Nomad Newsroom. This is an impromptu podcast with Gavin and Ingrid. Thank you for coming. We have just finished a co-workly event with Julian, which was absolutely amazing. Really, really fun. Actually, loads of people there, man. Really, really good. Just a quick one. I will have to leave in 20 minutes because I have a life. I have other things I need to do. It's my son's birthday in a couple of weeks. So I'm rolling out tomorrow, so I've got to get packing done and all that kind of stuff. So when you see me zoom out, don't worry about it. Julian's got it covered. So, guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there is we have only 2 microphones because we pour. Remember, buy us a beer. Also, buy his microphone.
Yeah. Backabuddy.com/co-workly.
So I have a question, right? So we know that digital nomads are, on the statistics, are between 25 and 40. That tends to be the case. We don't mind me saying. We know that you're outside of that bracket. So
Never.
no. Oh, hold on. I meant underneath.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You. Well, yeah. Sorry, guys. He's a bit of an arsehole at times. So I mean, obviously you look 21, 22. But obviously you're on the other scale of it. So what makes it different for you? Why did you get into it? And what advice do you have to people your age that are looking at doing it?
I'll go first and then you go next. I think the thing that made it easier for us is that we have a empty nest. So there is an empty nest syndrome that happens when people are over 50. For those who don't know, children have left the home, and so it was easier for us. However, people don't look at it as a option because roots are very deep. Oh no, you need to be looking after your age. You need to make sure that you have a house and all of those things. So that's where the unusualness comes in. What we saw it as is shackles off. Let's go free. Let's make this life something live by our own terms. So life by design.
One of the things that came up quite a lot in this evening's awesome co-workly session was that digital nomads often have an obsession for travel. I wouldn't call ours an obsession. We love travel. We've always wanted to travel more. And this was just an opportunity to do what's often referred to as slow travel. And that's what we wanted, to go somewhere, be able to be somewhere for 3 months at least, immerse ourselves in the culture as much as you can, as essentially a tourist, because you call yourself a digital nomad, but you're a tourist, just a longer term tourist, really. And so as much as we can, be part of the culture, immerse ourselves in the culture, and learn something more about intercultural communication, the way people show up in their lives. Those are the kind of things that we started off really wanting to do.
So was this something that you always wanted to do? Or did you decide later in life when, you maybe were sitting down one day talking, you were saying, hey, when the kids do flock the nest, do we want to live this kind of lifestyle?
Passport ready.
There was an origin story to it. We were sitting and watching a Sandra Bullock movie based in Chicago, and it was snowing, and it was nuts snow, 2 foot high. And we both sat there and went, I would love to live there for a month, just a month. I mean, I don't want to be in that kind of snow for any longer. And that's literally where it started. We then went, for a joke, let's make a list. So we put a list together of the 10 cities we would love to live in. And weirdly enough, because the list was there, it didn't seem unrealistic. Probably took 2 years of the conversation becoming more and more serious. And then it just became, COVID allowed us to do it because suddenly our clients were okay with us working remotely. Even though I looked the other day, we were doing remote Skype meetings back in 2013. So it's been done for a long time, but suddenly clients were okay. And so it opened the door and said, off you go, you can do this.
So we'll get on to what you do for a career in a bit. But what did your friends and family think when you initially told them that you were going to go for this wild, crazy lifestyle, at your age?
So the first assumption is, are you retiring? Which actually annoyed me intensely. So let's just give you the ages. So Gavin is 56 and I'm 58. which means that we're actually quite close to retirement in terms of people thinking about that. We are not going to retire because this is that we want to work and continue contributing to society. And I've forgotten what your question was.
What did our friends and family say?
Friends and family say. So that was the first question is, are you going to retire? And then our kids, so we've got 3 adult kids, were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yes, if you test the waters, then we can actually see whether it works for us. We have subsequently had people that either work with us or who know us who have started it or started the dream of living this lifestyle. And what we have said to them, I said, there's a lot of things that we've shared that help people realize that they can live this lifestyle. We live on the same budget that we did at home, wherever we are. So we pay ourselves the same salary as what we do, and we live within that budget. It means that anybody who has an income that they can rely on, or that they know they can make through entrepreneurship or whatever, they can live anywhere. Yeah.
Well, that's good because if you retirement age, you're going to get paid the same amount each week. That's how it works in the UK. So that's actually really good because that's very, very livable.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay, I've got to go soon. So I have 2 other questions then. Is what's the end goal? So you don't want to retire. I get it. Cool. Amazing. But what is the end goal here? Like someone who is younger than you, I'm obviously hungry. I have ambitions. I've got goals. So I would assume at your age, you still got them, but do they change? Like what goals do you have? So what is the end goal? And also what's the biggest thing you've learned then going through this process? What is the one thing you can look back and think that was the biggest turning curve for me, or that was the biggest lesson I learned and it's changed me kind of thing? What would you say?
So let me do the last one first. Probably my biggest learning is I like people more than I thought I did. I'm not a particular people liker, and it's weird because I work in the field of professional communication. I teach people how to communicate really well. Part of my goal in life is to help people unleash their potential and to connect people together. So it's really weird that I don't necessarily love people, but I've learned that people in general are good. They're happy to help. They're capable of connecting to other people at the drop of a hat if you come from a place of respect, if you come from a place of curiosity, and curiosity is the big thing. Tacked onto that is curiosity works anywhere in the world. It is one of the few skills you have. So language doesn't work everywhere in the world. Communication does, but curiosity works anywhere. If you employ curiosity in everything that you do, you can get by with in just about any place. I'm going to do what Ingrid did earlier. What was the first question?
I'll answer that. The first question was around what is our end goal. So it actually
She
started.
took the microphone away because she was concerned about my end goal, I think.
Yes.
Just
No.
that done.
So we had a list of places that we wanted to go diving because we're both scuba divers. And that list has been there all the way through our relationship now.
Oh yeah, that's it.
20 good years.
20th anniversary next year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
From that, it just grew in terms of, okay, well, instead of just going for diving holidays, let's actually go and do the slow travel that Gavin mentioned. So we actually want to go out at the end of it, sliding down, going, I lived a good life without waiting for the end days where we cripple and bored and are boring.
Yeah.
There are several other goals that go along with this, those shorter term goals. So we have 3 adult children. The one lives in South Korea, 2 live in South Africa currently, and wherever they settle, we want to be able to travel between them because they're going to have kids. We want to be grandkids. We want to be active grandparents. We want to be active grandparents. So part of the longer term goal is to set ourselves up where we, for example, live part-time in Dubai, which is easy to travel from wherever we want to go. Great hub. And then be able to visit our kids. And our business is run internationally. We do what we do online or internationally or wherever we are in country.
So if I can add quickly, because that probably is your next question, is what is the business and where is it going? We have a dream that is not, you don't retire from that. And that is to help people communicate better, to be better communicators. And that's not only just from a corporate perspective, yeah, the money is there, but actually our passion is to help people on a personal level learn how to communicate better. I want to do that till the day I die.
I love that. It's really cool. So I have to take the microphone because I actually have got to roll now. But before I go, I've got to do rock, paper, scissors before they gotta go. I'm sorry, guys. It's a whole snippet, and I'm terrible. I always lose. We're currently at 1-1. So I'm just going to do it once. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and on 3 we're going to draw.
Should we just vote?
Yeah, I'm going to do you, and then
One of us will beat you then if we just do.
there we go. Yeah, basically. That's it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I'll do you first, and then so we're going to go on 3.
Do you know that in South Korea they do this? The kids do this for almost every decision they make, every single
Yeah, I do.
day.
Yes, exactly. But that's so much better.
So much better. Key decision, strategy, rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
All right, you got it.
Best of 3.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Thank God he's gone. Oh,
Well, we'll edit that out later, shall we?
so I mean, your purpose in life is to help others, and I resonate with that because, as I was explaining earlier, for me, life is about contributing to your own life, but also supporting the people around you, and whether that's family, friends, or people you meet traveling. I'm a big fan of the word community. You know, as humans, we are meant to connect with each other. And going on to what you were saying earlier, Gavin, about not sure if people are right for you. Yes, everyone's good, but sometimes you do just resonate with people more, and it's natural to feel selective about the people you find inquisitive and who you find interesting. And you know, most of the time, it's down to the hobbies and the lifestyle you live. So now we've spoken a bit about why you got into this life, but just talk about a bit more about your business and actually how you do help people online, and the kind of coaches and the courses you have as well, because you guys are TEDx speakers. You've done incredible experiences throughout the world. You said you dive the blue hole, which I believe is actually one of the most dangerous places in the world to dive, if I'm not mistaken.
Not really, but I can explain to you why it's not really one of the most dangerous places.
Sure. So let's go on to that first, and then let's hear about your story and your journey as TEDx speakers.
We try not to talk about scuba diving all the time, but it actually is quite difficult because we really love scuba diving. The blue hole is very dangerous because amateur divers, recreational level divers who shouldn't really go deeper than 40 meters, have spent a lot of time going deeper than 40 meters, going under the arch, which I think is at about 60 meters, and then coming up the other side on a single tank. With all the dangers that come with going below 40 meters, narcosis, and a whole bunch of other things that happen. So the dive in and of itself is not dangerous if you're doing a technical dive with the right equipment, rebreathers, CCR, whatever it might be. It's not a dangerous dive. It's the humans who try and stretch their capabilities, their training, their awareness. Those are the ones that die. And yes, there's a lot. I think there's more than 150 people that have died diving that spot. But that's really the people, not the spot.
Cool. So, I mean, I'm a fan of diving. I actually spent 3 months out in Bali last year on Nusa Penida working at a dive school, which is, blissful, very much recreational in comparison to the kind of adventurous deep dives that you guys do. But for me, I'm a big fan of coral reefs and, having the manta rays over in Bali, which is incredible being surrounded. I think it's a real magical experience. So yeah, more on
You can cover the business part.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah. I'll just do the life fluff.
Yeah, you do the fluff.
you're the adventure mind and business mind. So yeah, let's hear more about what you do, and you guys obviously work together as well. So let everyone know, because a lot of people think it's quite daunting to think about working with your lifelong partner, right?
Yes. So we could do a whole different podcast on that in terms of how we don't get on one another's nerves and how we actually spend so much time together. It really is 24/7, 365 days. We have an advantage in that we are professional communicators. What that means is that we have tools and tricks that allow us to be able to go, okay, you're not listening to me, time out, I need a break, or whatever it is. And we also know how to connect in terms of our needs. In fact, we teach that as well. So, from a professional perspective, we have done communications and reputation management since 1998 together. What that means is we have moved with the tide. So we've gone from sending faxes and designing faxes all the way through to, oh, suddenly emails, and now we're dealing with AI. The cool thing is that our jobs are never boring. And basically, what we do is help people get clarity in terms of what they want to say, who they want to say it to, and then influence and hold that influence in a way that is meaningful and impactful.
And how we do that, I think, is the important bit.
Yeah.
So that's all just communication. And that's the great thing about what we do, because the communication is either interpersonal, so individual, or it's intrapersonal, so the inside part. And the way in which we do that is through, so the company's called Join the Dots for a reason. And what we do is reputation management for organizations. So help them do their marketing, their publicity strategy, all of that external stuff. Then we help their senior executives and leaders prepare for things like media. So we do media skills training. And you can see the pattern here. And we do presentation skills training. And then we do crisis communication workshops. It's all around communication, helping organizations communicate with credibility and reputation and clarity in mind. That's the basis of what we do.
And then cultivating connection.
The other part of what we've done over the past 6-7 years is around what we call cultivating connection. And that's going into organizations and helping people within those organizations get along with each other is the easiest way to explain it, because not everyone gets along with everybody else in a company. We're not there to make anyone friends, because you don't have to be friends with people, but you do have to have empathy, understanding, and have a context for where that person comes from so that you can deal properly with those humans. I'll give you a quick example. We did a course where we had 20 people in a room from 3 different groups, 20 people in a room, and there was a lot of feedback about the CEO in those groups. And it wasn't fantastic feedback. He was seen as being offish, distant, sometimes short, dismissive, until that group found out in a check-in that his mother was suffering from cancer and had recently then passed away. Immediately, empathy in the group, because he hadn't shared this with anyone, empathy in the group and an understanding that his life outside of the organization had been inadvertently brought into the organization. Now, our job is to help people have the kind of empathy where they ask questions, they are curious, and then they're able to build a better relationship with the humans around them. And ultimately, that's for the benefit of the business. That's about productivity, that's about innovation, that's about all of the things that make a business tick, regardless of whether it's face-to-face or whether it's hybrid work models, whatever it may be.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the words community and communication. As I've mentioned before, being able to communicate clearly is something that I'm working on now. But being more open about how I'm feeling, emotionally, sometimes it is normal. Well, it's perfectly normal to feel down, and you might not feel like talking to someone. I'm going to use my partner as an example. Sometimes you have your off days, and you just don't want to say anything, and it's not because you're thinking anything towards them, or there's no animosity or nothing else is happening. Sometimes you just have your off days. So, what you do and the way you bring it into businesses, I think is such a good business model. And you touched on AI impacting your business. Now, personally speaking, for me, and thinking about AI impacting, the word communication, I can't imagine it personally, because for me, you connect with people on a different level that AI just doesn't allow. Sure, there's probably models that, talk people through certain ways to communicate, but it won't reciprocate the emotion, the depth. It won't have the empathy. So how
Really, it does already. It can already. So one of the most scary impacts that it's currently having is that people are starting to use it to engage with directly as a support partner. So what's happening now is we've been told by a colleague friend who is a psychologist and a coach that they have been having some of their clients not renew the relationship because those clients are now using AI to communicate with. They're asking the AI questions and they're getting feedback. They're getting coaching. Whatever it is, they're getting something from the AI. And we read that more and more that is starting to happen. People are developing relationships with whatever AI it is that they have. Now, we know how harmful that is. We know that under certain circumstances, it's great to have a sparring partner, but that sparring partner has ulterior motives. And those ulterior motives, whatever they might be, are not for your benefit. Whereas a human being is different. They have nuance, they have context, they have a whole bunch of things built in that currently, and I say currently, AI doesn't have. So sorry to interrupt you, but actually right now, a part of that communication is being extracted from the human value chain and put into an IT AI value chain.
I mean, that's mind blowing. It's scary because it takes away the element of being human. Being able to connect with people, talk with people, share those experiences. I mean, that's something I guess AI won't be able to do is maybe share any kind of similar stories or experiences. And I know normally, counselors and coaches aren't supposed to do that because it's about, passive listening and, an empathetic understanding. But to me, it's just, I can't imagine a world where people will go to AI to talk to a program over a human. So I guess on the topic of AI, because I find this all interesting, especially with AI being a hot topic. What what's obviously your personal take on it? First of all, have you experienced any of the software, and do you think it's harmful because it's more likely to give you the answers that you want to hear? Or I don't know how in depth they are. Have you got stories about people being kind of misled down the wrong road because the AI is feeding them what they want to hear essentially, whereas sometimes as sometimes someone giving you feedback in just to give you the feedback that you want to hear isn't the best thing for you. Sometimes you just need to hear or you need to figure out for yourself
And hear the truth.
And
hear the truth. So yeah, what's your take, what's your experiences on this?
okay, so first of all, I need to say I'm not an AI expert. And second of all, this can be a whole different topic of that we can go down. What is the fascinating thing for me is there is so much opportunity with AI in terms of human connection. So the reason why I say that is a friend of a friend has built an AI specifically for a coach using her IP. So of course you can just put all your IP into AI and build an agent that the first 6 coaching sessions that you have are only AI related. That then builds a database in terms of who you are and what your issues are. Then only does she do face to face. So there is so much opportunity, good opportunity for us to actually reach and have better mental health. And wellness, loneliness, you said it earlier at the networking, depression, 1 in 6 people, this is the latest statistic, worldwide you will find is either lonely or depressed. So actually there's a lot of opportunity from AI. Yes, we can go down the road of, oh, it's bad and all of those things, but actually I would rather deal and look at the opportunities that we can have. And then, yes, human connection can come in later.
Wow.
I think one of the things is that many people can't afford an official therapeutic avenue to go to a psychologist to get support or to go to a coach and get support. So this gives you an opportunity to be able to get the support that you need. There are lots of organizations that exist, but a lot of people don't want to go to those organizations either. It is interesting, though, that this is going to become a much bigger thing than it is currently. I stumbled upon, and I should have known it would have existed already, Tony Robbins. He has his own AI, and his AI is a coaching AI. And when you watch the video on the website, it coaches you in Tony Robbins' voice, asking you Tony Robbins questions, giving you Tony Robbins encouragement, solutions, plans, skills. All of those things have been programmed into a GPT, and that's what it's now feeding back to you. And he's making $19.99 per month off you when you sign up. So it's not only something that could work very well, but it's an absolute revenue opportunity for you if you have a big name.
If I can add something, because what you're doing and building of community is really important. I think bringing it back to digital nomads and what AI can do versus the human to human side of things. AI can absolutely feed us the right data in terms of where we can go, what's the closest thing to the market down the road, all of those things. Absolutely, yes. What it can't give us is what you set up today. Humans in a room telling their stories, looking one another in the eyes and saying, it was nice to meet you.
And
So we can actually work together. This can actually make it even better.
Going on to your experience and your knowledge and, knowing how passionate you guys are about what you do, because as you mentioned, you're not looking at retiring anytime soon. You love what you do. You want to help people. You want to foster connection and community. And I guess it must be difficult for you to kind of comprehend and understand the AI world kind of invading on humanity like this. Do you feel any particular kind of way to it?
Not difficult.
No, I don't find it difficult to comprehend or understand. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
Work with it.
We work with AI. We use AI as a tool to do our job because you have to. I
Even
think.
though we're over 50.
Who knew? AI is a tool that can be used really well to improve productivity, to leave you time to do the things that really matter. There's a whole bunch of jobs that as a human being, you don't need to do. Get AI to do those. Does it have far larger implications? Yes. My biggest concern is it's going to put people out of work, not by the tens of thousands, not by the hundreds of thousands, but by the tens of millions. And it sounds super scaremongering, and people at Microsoft will tell you otherwise, or any of the other large companies will tell you, no, it won't do that. But it 100% will. You just have to have a look at a company like Grok, which just recently got rid of 500 people in their AI team because they'd finished doing the first part of what needed to be done. And they're gone, off they go. The challenge is to how do we ensure that all of those people that are going to lose their jobs don't fall below the breadline? And surely that's a responsibility. Surely we have to be taking that super seriously because we can't suddenly have a world where we have 150 million, 250 million additional people unemployed. That to me seems to be a real challenge that we need to face. And it's not being spoken about by all the big AI companies at all. None of them are talking about the impact that their technology is going to have. Maybe they don't need to. Maybe they're like Facebook going, I don't have responsibility for what happens on my platform. Or maybe they do.
First of all, Joe and I, funny enough, were talking about this the other day, and we basically said the same as you. I don't think humanity and the people that are going to be watching this, I know my friends and family will have no idea just how bad things are going to get, in my opinion, because of AI. I think many people will unfortunately lose their jobs, and as you rightly said, I think it's going to be hundreds of millions. I think we're going to see a different level of poverty that's never seen before in humanity. And then what happens? Do we go back to some kind of slavery in the sense of you then work for the government gives you money and in order to survive, but you have to do certain things?
Can I paint you a different picture?
Go on, I'd like to hear an alternative.
And Gavin always calls me naive, and yes, I am positive as well. But here's the picture that I have in my head. So when we started this nomad work life, and we were packing our 4-bedroom house down to nothing so that we could have 2 suitcases, I put on our mirror something that said, it was on masking tape, and it said, no space for just in case. And that reminded us that we didn't need the stuff. What it meant was, I'll tell you where I'm going with this. What it meant was, I would say to Gavin, oh, this is my mother's grandmother's thing. I need to keep this. And he would go,
No
babe,
space for just in case.
no space for just in case. And that became a mantra that is something that we use and we talk about now and teach. Here's the promise
And
from
in fact, that was what our last TEDx talk was about no space for just in case.
So here's the image and the picture that I have of this new world. Imagine if we only had the clothes that we needed. Imagine if we only had and we lived in homes like we're living here in Homer, that are not huge, and we don't need the car. We can hire the car. We don't need the things that we think we need to have a better life. Imagine if the people that were put out of a job now went, and this is because of I'm South African, I can tell you this. People in South Africa, our unemployment rate is over 50.
It's depending on the definition of unemployment, it's anywhere between 32 and 46%, depending how you define unemployed.
But if you look at quasi-economics, which is the real what is happening behind the scenes with South Africans are entrepreneurs. As an example, a person can make a living in South Africa, I kid you not, from sitting outside a toilet in a aid station selling toilet paper. And that's how they make a living. And they can actually make 15,000 Rand a month selling pieces of toilet paper for the people that are going in. Now, here's it back to this AI. If we just become a little bit curious about what the needs are, we don't need the jobs 9 to 5 that we have taught ourselves that we have to have. The possibilities of us using our creativity and our curiosity and letting AI do the stuff that it does, it can't sell it toilet paper. There's actually promise in this.
I actually agree with what you're saying, and to kind of reframe it, I do think that if we were able to use AI sensibly, and corporations are producing AI and companies that use AI, if everyone stopped thinking about greed at the end of the day, that's what will drive humanity to extreme levels of poverty that we've not seen before. But if companies and like yourselves, you've embraced AI, you've incorporated it as part of your daily life to make yourselves more productive, help you run your business, that frees up your time, it frees up your mental space, you're not worrying as much, you can utilize it as a tool. But unfortunately, I think that there's too many greedy people out there. And like you said, Grok, who have just let 500 developers go. Okay, sure, they might not need them anymore, but it's just dropping people at the drop of a hat because they've done what's required. That is because of greed. It's about maximizing profits. They don't want to pay salaries.
And that's a far deeper conversation, because now we're talking about capitalism, and we're talking about what kind of capitalism do we want in the world? Do we want the old kind of capitalism where the guy who dies with the most toys wins? I mean, it's obscene. Was it today that Elon Musk's wealth went over 500 billion?
Wow.
The wealth that sits at the top 1% has now become obscene. And while they've earned it through all of these clever entrepreneurial ideas, they've earned it on the back and the sweat of a whole bunch of people under them. And I think that's where we need to be looking at is what is capitalism going to mean in the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years? How is it going to be rejigged, changed so that it works for everyone and not for the very few people at the top? And I don't mean do away with capitalism, because you need entrepreneurship. All you have to do is look at the number of billionaires and millionaires that are currently departing the UK because their ability to earn high money is actually the thing that they are being punished for. When you do that, entrepreneurship moves, money moves. So it's not about killing capitalism. It's about what type of capitalism do we need that serves the needs of everyone. I mean, do we need a global living wage? Are countries going to have to turn socialist or have socialist tendencies in order to be able to support the people that are put out of a job? So I think there's a tremendous discussion there to be had about what is the future going to hold that is going to create a positive world that continues to improve people's lives, that creates value from the human beings that can provide value, that doesn't take us backwards in the next 50 years.
I agree. This is a whole different topic that we could go down. I find it so interesting. But the thing that's more worrying is that governments are not talking about this now, as far as we know, openly. They're not thinking about the future of.
That's because it's about the next election.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. If you have a look at the countries that have a long-term view, and they're not necessarily the kind of countries that you can look at and go, oh, you're my inspiration. But if you look at Singapore, they have a 50-year strategy. You look at China, they have a 25, 50-year strategy. There are countries that can do that, sometimes for the wrong reasons. So a dictatorship, even a benevolent dictatorship, has the ability to do that. But if you're a country that has elections every 4 to 5 years, the chances of you being able to make the tough decisions now are very slim, because you're going to be out in the next election. So I think we can't wait for politicians. We can't wait for the big corporates, because guess what? You're talking about it. They're chasing the profit. They're chasing the next quarterly. So actually, it ends up to us. The people that are empowered and able to do this are the ones that are going to have to make the change. We're going to have to do the grassroots things. We're going to have to step up. We're going to have to take the action. Otherwise, change is not going to come. We can't be looking around for other people to give us the change, because many of those people don't want the change. A placid, compliant mass of people is what companies want. They can sell you stuff. They can get you to vote for them. We need to be more active in our citizenship in order that we can bring about the change that we can see is necessary.
I think there is also something that we need to remember. Your event this evening, as an example, there was a theme throughout the digital nomads there, in terms of going, there is more to my life. I am making a different decision for me. Outside of governments, outside of the corporates, human beings are going, I need to change something. So we're making our own decisions of, as I said earlier, life by design. And that then will change things and shift things slowly. But there are more people that are wanting to do it than what we think.
And we constantly talk about, how do we do this at scale? How do you, doing co-workly, how do we, doing cultivating connection, how do we do things at scale? Because that's where the change comes.
Yeah.
Then you have to go, how do we involve religion, organized religion, in terms of churches? Because they have a massive impact around the world. Whether it's Christianity, whether it's Islam, whether it's Hinduism, they have a massive capability, unused capacity for change, for good. Positive change. Then you look at corporates. Corporates can do the same, but they have to feel the pressure in order to make the change. And that pressure has to come from civil society.
Yeah, I completely agree. Going on to what you were just saying about people kind of coming together and sharing experiences, one of the things I found very interesting and beautiful tonight was, I won't say which of the Homer staff are there, but they were addressing that they're in the corporate environment. They hadn't really thought about digital nomadism and being in a room where people who've cultivated this lifestyle and they're sharing their experiences, their stories, and showing that it can be done. You know, by the end of it, I think, unfortunately, don't let Homer know, but I think by the end of it, they've just lost their team. Okay, and I think people are people end up on the route of, leaving school, going to uni, getting a house, having a family, making sure you stick to a career, because you're conditioned from a young age that is how you should live your life.
That's his sausage factory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about meeting digital nomads and travelers, because we are the people that have sort of broken the mold. And that's when I tell people what I do or what I want to do. I was what's called a space cowboy, which is supposed to be an insult, because I'm living in this dream fantasy world. This is going back about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, look at me now.
You take it as a compliment, though.
Yes.
I'll own it. I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that I've never wanted to live what people would call the normal lifestyle that most people conform to, and I for me cannot live that life, as I explained. So for me, I think culture, community really brings people together, and you can actually bring people out to their true self and their true identity and what they want when you create that culture and environment, which is what you do professionally, which I think is incredibly cool.
One of the questions earlier was, what was your biggest lesson, or what has been your biggest lesson? And it really has come at an older age. So my maturity, it's rather than my age. One of the things that I've loved about travel is learning that I don't know everything. So as humans, I made the assumption that I know. But actually, being on different land with different humans, seeing how it's done differently, what response is to just gender or work or whatever it might be, teaches us about how we're not right, and how we have this ego of I know. And that has been, I think, one of the biggest lessons for me to take back and teach others as well. You know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. Travel opens that up in terms of you don't really know.
Mhm.
And it must be said, we're super privileged to be able to
Yeah.
travel, because there's a very, very small number of people. I think I once worked out that Ingrid and I, because of the age we're at, are 1.3% of the total digital nomad population sits where we are age-wise. It's a very, very, very small number. So as a whole, digital nomads are relatively privileged to be able to do the things that we do. And at the same time, it's not about being a digital nomad. That's one of the things we say when we talk about no space for just in case. We're not telling you to give up your life, give up all your comforts, and travel on 7 t-shirts each. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you can live an amazing life if you just carry less, and then you can live more. And carrying less means both the baggage that you've got inside, everything that tells you how you need to live your life, right? The high school, the uni, the got to get it, the girlfriend, the wife, the children, the house in the suburb, the mortgage. That's what we've been told. But what we're saying is that's not what you have to do. There are other paths that you can look at that could suit you better, that might make you happy where you're currently not happy. And we know loneliness it's an epidemic. And it's an epidemic at particular age groups as well. It's a really big thing that I don't think is being tackled well enough. And that's where we try and play a part, is to help people connect to other people in a business context, in a personal context, because once you start connecting to other human beings, loneliness begins to fade. Because it's difficult to be lonely in a room with other people. You can still be alone, but it's difficult to be lonely when there are other people that you're connected to.
It's a shame that we can't show everyone what tonight's meetup was like, because I had you guys planned as speakers, and I had another 3 people lined up. We had people that I've never met before that showed up from Homer, and they stood up and did a pitch, and I just thought that was incredibly beautiful that they had the courage and determination to stand up in the room for the people and they haven't been invited. They don't know anyone, or might know 1 or 2 people living here, and they felt inspired by what we were doing in the room, and it just brought out this positive energy. And by the end of it, when the session had finished, the idea was that Joe and I would actually walk around and we'd do mini interviews with everyone, and everyone ended up getting caught up in conversations, which, to be honest, I'd rather. The podcast wasn't actually our primary focus. Unfortunately, you guys, due to circumstances, you're leaving this Sunday, which is 3 days away from now, which I'm honestly genuinely gutted about, because I find you so inspiring. It's nice to connect with people of a different age and a completely different background and a different lifestyle.
Of a different age.
Well, I see what you guys do, the wisdom you have, the knowledge you have, and taking such a brave risk that only a very, very small percentage would, you know, w- again, your age, not pointing any fingers or offense, but,
It's good we don't take it like that.
but if someone in a similar age bracket to you was wanting to do what you have done, what advice would you give them? Where would you tell them to start? How would you tell them to start? Obviously, kind of revolves around work, but not everyone's necessarily in the position at that time. Most people are thinking about retiring in a few years, but let's say they didn't want to retire. Have you got any advice that you could give them? Or as you were saying earlier, Gavin, not everyone wants to be a digital nomad. There's other alternatives. What other alternatives could they go and live instead?
So I'll do the good coaching thing, which is I would ask them a ton of questions first before I gave any advice at all. Because I couldn't possibly tell somebody to even think about doing what we're doing without really knowing who they are, what they want. Do they have clarity on their goals, their future, what they want out of life? Do they have a purpose? Do they have a vision? What are the core values that they live by? All of these things help define where you're going to go next and what you're going to do. I think that what we do, it can be an inspiration. It's not meant to be. It's just we live like this, and people go, oh, that's really cool. I could do something like that. That's not the point. The point is you don't have to live the script that somebody else has written for you. That's the point. The world has written our scripts for us. Universities teach the courses that corporates tell them that they need the output for. That's a script. Your script as an accountant was written for you. You don't have to do that. You can change your life by changing the decisions you make. And where do you start is you take stock. You sit down and you ask yourself important questions about, am I happy with what I have? How would I like to change that? What would I like to change that to? What would I like out of my life? You can look at a simple thing like the wheel of life, which has 12 components, and it divides what you do on a daily basis into 12 parts. You can start with that and go, is there anywhere where this wheel of life is lopsided? And if it is lopsided, do I want to correct that? Can I correct that? Because even by doing that, you can change where you put your energy. Because as you hear over and over, where you put your focus is where your growth happens. And if you put your focus into work only, that's where your growth will happen.
I really want to add a story there. So we actually stayed in Gavin's parents' old age home for a month recently. His dad is frail. And one of the ladies there who's 75 was, oh, I'm so inspired by you two. I wish I had done what you are doing.
The words I wish I hear all the time.
Yes.
Just that
Yes, yes.
The moment you release a book, everyone goes, oh,
I wish I could, yeah.
I want to write a book. And you go, yeah, well, the difference between that and writing a book is writing the book.
So to answer your question, she wanted to know, well, what could I have done differently? And is there something that I can do to be closer to the type of stuff that you do? Cut a very long story short. She can now, and she is spending more time with her son who lives somewhere else. She has, and thought about it now that when we spoke to her, she has a friend in another country that she can go and visit. That then brings this adventure that we speak about into her life, so she's got something to look forward to. Her biggest regret, and this is what she said to me, if I had known sooner that I don't have to be in this retirement village, I would have looked after myself better. Right now, I'm too old, my knees are too sore, and I'm not fit enough. So back to this thing that Gavin said, if we just think about changing our narrative about being older, being fit, being able, being resilient, we change our narrative, we can change our story in terms of where we end up. So we're not waiting to die.
One of the important add-ons to that is it's not about retirement age or living longer. So we have this thing about, oh, people will now be living to 120. Who cares if you're frail from 85? What is the point? You want to extend your health, physical, mental capabilities for as long as you possibly can so that you can continue being an active contributor in society. And you'll have heard us talk a little bit about contributing. And that's because my view is, why am I here? Well, it's not to have the most toys when I die. I don't mind having toys. Toys is great. Who doesn't like a nice car? Range Rover, love it. But what are you doing with the rest of your time and the rest of your money and the rest of your energy and the rest of your efforts? Because you only need so much time to drive your Range Rover around, don't you? So it's about how can we give back? How can we contribute? And it's not all selfless. A lot of the stuff we do while we're giving back, we're earning revenue from it. And that's okay too. But there is a purpose in what we're doing. And I think that that's really important. People don't necessarily have that purpose. They don't have a thing that they're working toward. They don't have something that they want to give back. I'll give you an interesting example that we see that we loved. South Korea is a phenomenal country. Our youngest daughter, Ariel, lives in South Korea, and we spent some time there. And one of the things that blows us away is that retired people aren't in fact retired. They are fully, actively involved in society up to 70, 80 years old. And by fully actively involved, I mean they are the people who are standing at the traffic signal outside of a school acting as the scholar patrol, the guards. And these are 75-year-old people. They are tending gardens. They are actively engaged in life, contributing. They're not being paid for it. And that's part of having a purpose for later in your life, having something you can continue doing. There's nothing worse than having no purpose and having a meaningless life. Why would you want to live like that?
And so far, I think that is a great inspiration for people, as we've spoken about, of age, but more importantly, young people as well, to have drive and passion and to aspire to be fit and healthy. Because as you were saying, if you stay active, if so, someone like myself, I try and embrace that, and I try and go to the gym. I try and watch what I eat, and it's not because I want to live as long as possible. It's purely because I don't want health complications as I get older. I want to be mobile. I want to still be able to travel and do the things that many people dream of, but unfortunately, they do go down the rabbit hole of kind of going down the career route and losing purpose in life and just being. And as they get older, they become less mobile and more immobile. And like you said, unfortunately, people do end up in homes at an age where you compare it to Asians in general, not just South Korea. You go to Singapore, a lot of people, a lot of the elderly are ex-military or police, and they're still they're volunteering.
Same in Laos, same in other countries around Asia. They're active.
Yeah, and that's something that we don't do in the West, in particularly in the UK. I know, I think once people hit the retirement age, it's kind of like I'll kick back now. And some people say, oh, I'll go traveling, but they haven't looked after themselves as well.
There's a reason.
Difficult to do that when you're not strong.
Yeah.
You can't lift your suitcase and put it overhead or whatever.
There's a reason that there's a meme or a hashtag, which is Asians exercising in public. You see it.
It's true.
In Seoul, you'll be standing at a robot waiting to cross, and robots take a long time in Seoul. You can be standing there for 260 seconds waiting for the robot, and you'll see them stretching. They'll be doing stretching, and that's how you remain like that for longer. And I mean, if there's one thing that I can say to anyone who's younger than me, no matter what the age, take care of your health now. You think it's not super important. Let me tell you, it's super important. It only came to me much later in life to start taking care of my health. For a long time, I was hugely overweight. If you go back and watch the TEDx talk we spoke about earlier, I can't remember what I weighed at that time, but at my peak, I weighed 140 kilos. So I had to lose a tremendous amount of weight to gain health. And that happened very late in life. I would like other people to be able to learn that at a much younger age. It's that 60-year-old person giving you all their little hints and tips that you look at and you go, what do you know? You don't know anything. Until you're 60 years old and you realize that those gems were literally gems.
And I think people have this mentality as well that they think it will never happen to them. It's like, it won't happen to me. It'll be okay. My dad's okay now, but unfortunately, a couple of months ago, he had a heart attack. And ultimately, it was because of lifestyle choices. And the doctor said if he had left it an hour and a half later, he wouldn't be here still. And that kind of gave him a wake up call to get back in action. He's of age, he's 70, but he's now trying to become more active, more mobile. He's with the NHS. They put you on a training program. It's never too late. They're making him do Tai Chi. He's going to personal training sessions. He's feeling better. He's feeling fitter, healthier. His fat is dropping off. So it's never too late. But I think the real thing is focusing on it as early as you can, keeping that drive, momentum, and passion throughout your life. And if you're unhappy in the situation you're in, whether it's in the UK and you're hating your job, you're hating your life, and you wish you were doing something somewhere else, my personal outlook on it is go and do it. What have you got to lose? Have you got a fallback plan? Could you go back to the life you now have if it didn't work out? And for me, when I moved to Asia, I moved out with £7,000, no job, no set career because I've always been freelance. I have the photography and videography skills, and I do have some work in Singapore, but it was at the time never enough to sustain a living. I needed to specifically make it to this month, actually last month, September, which is almost a year and a half later, to know that I have a very stable life in Asia now. And I hit that point, and a lot of that's because of my mindset and my drive and passion.
There it is. It's because of your mindset and your drive and your passion, making decisions, life by design. Bringing it back to the medical side of things and choices and digital nomads. One of the most expensive experiences that I've seen recently was somebody who didn't take an ailment seriously. And so when we travel, what we tend to do is go, it's not too sore, or I have a problem, but I can't really afford to go. I'm in Thailand. I don't want to go to the medical um, somebody to help. Yes, yes. This person ignored something in her eye to such a degree that her retina detached, and she has damaged her optical nerve. Now, here's the thing. That is an extreme. But for people that are living the lifestyle, one of the things that we take really seriously is if there is something that is bothering you, go to a doctor. Take it seriously. And the thing that I wanted to add, which is actually it's this over 50 thing, which is quite funny, is because we have taken it seriously, we have landed up in hospitals, going to the medical fraternity in Singapore and Thailand, and Kuala Lumpur, and all these places. And it has been so amazing. And actually, we've been quite grateful. So thanks for getting ear infections. Yes.
I'm one of those scuba divers who unfortunately gets ear infections. Very annoying. So everywhere that we've scuba dived, I probably had an ear infection.
Obviously, you've added some medical centers onto your itineraries along the way. And I have to say that some of the medical centers that are here in Asia, they're phenomenal,
Amazing.
amazing. And I
Yes.
think, thinking about my parents when I first went traveling, it's like, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to, if you go into hospital, it's going to be an awful place, So yeah, that's kind of summed it up there. I think let's kind of summarize and wrap it all up. And you guys have already given some great advice and tips on. I think if you were to give someone advice of any age, you've given loads of good feedback. But if you were to summarize it, and you wanted to give one key piece of advice, where would you start?
Follow your dreams.
Oh, I love it.
You need to write your own script, because if you let yourself follow the script that's been written for you, you can't possibly live your fullest, best, completest life. You can't. So you have to also realize on top of that is that the only one that makes it happen is you. Nobody out there is going to make it happen for you. You can't wait for somebody else. It's you. It's your gig. You do it. And that doesn't mean you have to be, not everyone has to be an Elon Musk. Not everyone has to be a billionaire or a millionaire or drive a Range Rover. That's not what it's about. It's just about doing whatever you can do. Do it.
I can add something.
Of course.
This lifestyle and doing what we do is not always easy. But the thing that gets us through is this is an adventure and there are no regrets. Wherever you are and whatever you are, don't regret it.
Try that. Try the phrase, this is an adventure. Instead of thinking that everything is a crisis, everything is a problem. Sure, the times can be hard. I get that. And we're not talking about deep depression, but we're talking about when things happen to you, a source of resilience is a simple phrase. This is an adventure.
And I think that's beautiful. I mean, that resonates with me, and the journey I'm on, and making sure I get to my older life and I'm looking back, I'm reflecting on the amazing trips I've been on, just like you guys are, doing right now, and you have done for many, many years. And I think the way you framed it is incredibly beautiful. And I think what you do is amazing. And, unfortunately you are leaving on Sunday, but it won't be goodbye forever. We'll stay in contact, and who knows where we'll next see each other in the world. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I loved your co-workly session tonight.
Thank
And I think there's so much future in the app and what the app can do from a community building and opportunity point of view. I look forward to seeing you raise your first 10 bar.
That means a lot. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, you legends. Now hit that damn subscribe button already.